Welcome to Hidden Voices, the podcast series which explores the less heard voices in health and social care. I'm Renee and I work for Healthwatch Essex. It's our job to make sure that people's experiences help to improve health and social care services. In this episode, we're talking to Faye about her experiences of mental health as a young person. So first of all, Faye, thank you so much for joining us today, or this evening I should say. So obviously we've met before and it was absolutely incredible hearing your story, so I'm sorry if you're going to have to repeat yourself a little bit here just for everyone else's sake. But when we met before, you shared that you had experience of mental health services, specifically CAM, so child and adolescent mental health services, from quite a young age. Are you happy to sort of share with us a little bit about this experience, what led up to it, and what it was like when you were referred to CAMS?
Yes, of course. So I believe I was around the age of 11 or 12, so I was in secondary school around year 8 or year 9, and I started getting really badly bullied. I fell out with my friendship group and it just went awful.
Yeah.
The girls who I was best friends with turned on me and tried to make my life as bad as they could, really. Yeah. So I started off going to a school counsellor. Unfortunately, she wasn't the best. I didn't get the best support from her. Her advice wasn't very supportive and it was very much retaliate.
Yeah.
I'm very much, no, let's not retaliate, let's solve the actual problem.
Yeah.
So after that, my mum, she actually works with young children anyway, young people. So she took me to CAMS. So she took me there and I met a lovely lady and we sort of just started from there. I had a few sort of one-to-ones and then unfortunately all they had was group work available for me. As obviously someone going through bullying in school and big groups was very daunting to me. So unfortunately I just came out of that service pretty quickly just because they couldn't offer me the support I needed at the time. After that, it was probably a year or two where I was just under just my GP, seeing them really regularly. I had a really nice GP, so I was very lucky. During this time, she got me onto a couple forms of medication for anxiety and depression. So I started those kinds of medications when I was around 14, I believe I was. So that was a lot for a young person to have to go to weekly GP appointments and things like that. I was in and out of hospital as well, going into the A&E section of it, waiting for a worker to come out and see me, and then they would always discharge me. And then I was under a service called Yellow Door, which is in Essex. So I was under a lady there, and I was with her when I was 17 for about 6 months. After that, our amount of time of sessions had run out.
Yeah. So
that was that really. Everything sort of went a bit quieter. I'd left school, went to college, best thing I ever did, got a job. So everything seemed good. Yeah. For a good couple years I was stable. I was still taking my regular medication, but I was in a stable condition. And then unfortunately I was then with a boyfriend, the first boyfriend, it's always a big deal. Yeah. And unfortunately, it just wasn't great. It just wasn't good. So then we split and COVID happened, which was actually a really sort of a saviour for me as such, because it gave me that break from this person. Yeah. As my dad was high risk, I wasn't allowed to leave the house even for an hour a day. So I was able to leave this person and able to heal on my own. Fast forward sort of a year or two, I applied to be cabin crew. I then got accepted into cabin crew, and as you do your tests and your practicals, you have to undergo a medical as well. Went to the medical. As he'd seen that I had mental health problems in the past, he had to get a letter from my GP. I got this letter a few weeks later and I opened the letter and it said, Faye has borderline personality disorder. Now, this was basically how I got diagnosed.
I did not know that was the...
This is how I got diagnosed, unfortunately. It was through a letter. Yeah. So from what age they diagnosed me, I'm not actually too sure. But this was when I found out, was when I was 18. Yeah. Around March 2022 was when I found out I had borderline personality disorder. So it was a bit of a shock. I remember showing the letter to my parents. They're really supportive. Yeah. And they, for my mum, especially working with young people and within the mental health sector, she it clocked straight away. She was like, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And I remember she would sit me down, we'd talk about it, and that's when things started falling into place for me. I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense now, actually. I think all I needed for a really long time was just a diagnosis.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, my cabin crew journey didn't last long because of certain medications I had to come onto because of the borderline personality disorder. So I came onto them, started working in gyms, and everything was good again. And then unfortunately, I got another partner, and he was really mentally abusive towards me.
Yeah.
And it got to a point I just thought I need to get out of this.
Yeah.
So that's when I went down a really rocky path, really. And then I was hospitalised on the 21st of December, so just before Christmas. And that was, I wasn't under section, so it was voluntary. But when they say voluntary, it's, you can't leave, but you are here because you've chosen to be here. So in a way, I was fortunate enough that I went in voluntary, and they took me to this room, and it had 2 other people in, and they said, this is our suite. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is like our communal area. And they was like, no, this is where you're sleeping. And it was a chair, just a small tub chair, that unfortunately I slept on over Christmas.
How many nights was that?
4 nights. So I actually got out on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
So I got out Christmas morning because they didn't have a bed for me in a unit, so they just sort of shipped me on my way and said, we'll put you under the crisis team.
Yeah.
So I spent 4 nights on a tub chair with obviously very bright lights with you. Unfortunately, the hospital I was in, the catering staff and the mental health staff didn't get on, so the catering staff didn't cater us.
Okay.
So unfortunately, regards to that part of my journey, that was probably the lowest part, because you're thinking, oh, I'm in this place, I need support, I'm not even getting fed, I can't sleep, I'm in a chair. But I was really fortunate to have my mum. She'd come down every day, she'd go to Costa, bring me a baguette, she'd bring all the rest of the people. There was 3 of us in this big room, so she'd bring everyone else something to eat as well. So I was very fortunate for that.
A good support network outside.
I did, yeah, I did. And then I got out Christmas Day, and everything was good for about a month. Unfortunately, one of the things you do when you're 17, 18 is take your driving test. I failed it. And for me, that was my, one thing I was so excited for.
Yeah.
I failed my driving test, and that landed me back in hospital due to one of my low moments.
Yeah.
Went back into hospital, and that was when I was diagnosed with liver failure. It wasn't fortunate that I had liver failure, of course, but I was fortunate that I got a bed. I was on a ward because they was treating the physical problem rather than the mental problem. Yeah. Much better. I had a bed to sleep on. I had a worker with me all the time. His name was Bruno. I remember he was like, it's not Bruno Mars. Bless him. So yeah, I was in there for again another 4 or 5 days. Came out under the adult mental health team, and just went to appointments every 2 weeks, every week. Saw my worker, and then I was probably under them for about 9 months, and then they just said, I think you can do this. And I was like, I think you're right.
And you felt like on the same page.
Yeah. Definitely. So that's when I've stepped away from services now for about a year and a half, I'd say.
Amazing.
I've been away from mental health services. Of course, I have regular checkups. I have yearly blood tests because of my medication.
Yeah.
But I'm not undergoing any counselling, so that's a good sign for me.
Oh, amazing! No, do you know what? That's so wonderful. And I know we'll get on to sort of what you're doing now in a while. But no, thank you so much for sharing that story. Or your story, I should say. When you sort of talk about sort of BPD, are you happy to share more about what that is, and if you're happy to sort of sharing about how it presents itself in yourself as well?
So if I'm honest, I learn more about it pretty much on the weekly. There's things that clock sometimes I think that is because of my BPD. That's the main reason this is why I feel this way. So BPD, it's very similar in a sense to bipolar with the mood swings and things like that, whereas BPD is more due to trauma. So BPD occurs because you've had something traumatic happen in your life, and it's crazy how it does it, but it triggers something in your brain, and some behaviours then represent BPD. So with myself, what I noticed when I first realised that I was diagnosed with this was things like friendship groups. I'm very quick to cut friends off if I feel there's something off, or if I feel like they don't feel as strongly as I do with them in terms of a friendship. I'm very quick to make a decision on getting them out my life. Fortunately, I had noticed these things, so when I feel this way, because I do, I still have BPD, but I notice it and I go, okay, well, it is because you have BPD, so let's try and view it from a different perspective. Other sort of, the way it got described to me was, there's a glass of water, everyone's glass is about half full, my glass is already full, so if there's more things going into the cup, mine just overflows already. Whereas other people may be able to take more in their cup. And that's the way I see it now. It was a really good way they tried to explain it to me, because I was very confused. When I first saw that I'd be diagnosed, I was thinking, are they just saying I've got mood swings? And a big sort of stigma with that was, oh, well, you're a young teenager, you're going through the hormones, that's why it's mood swings. But then when they diagnosed me, it made so much more sense.
Do you know what, you actually took the next question out of my mouth there, because I was thinking when you were sharing, I didn't know about how you'd been diagnosed. I thought that's such an unusual way of getting a diagnosis. But was it a big surprise to you, or did you kind of feel that potentially there may have been a condition that you were living with, or?
I think it just made a lot of sense. I think it answered a lot of questions for me, because sometimes I'd be thinking, well, I'm not friends with this person anymore because they've done this, but is this a normal way to act? Is this of the average person would act? And so when I got that diagnosis through, again, my mum, bless her, being very supportive, bought me a book on it, and she would sit there reading through the book with me. So yeah, it made a lot of sense. It was surprising more of the way I got diagnosed. I sort of sat there and was thinking, well, how long have I been diagnosed with this? It was a surprise, but I'll never know, I guess. I'll never know, but I was happy just to finally have a bit of a light bulb moment of, this makes sense now.
Yes. No, amazing, thank you. So you've mentioned before about sort of being in and out of mental health services throughout your teenage years and like your early adulthood as well. What would you say have been some of the biggest challenges that you faced during this time in regards to the care that you received?
I think as I was growing up, it was the stigma of, you're going through the hormones, you're going through what every teenage girl goes through, this is normal, especially because my sort of mental health journey started because of the bullying was, oh, well, bullying's normal. And I think I wasn't dismissed as such, but it was made to be more of an average thing that happens to everyone. So I guess, I did feel a little bit dismissed when I was younger, and when I was going to services like CAMS, then when they just said, well, it's group work or nothing, it wasn't great for someone who suffers with those social situations. When, as I started to get older, and I was going in and out of hospital a little bit more, I would say it was just the services not having enough room. They don't have enough bodies to help. They're under so much pressure, and I saw it with my own eyes how much pressure they're under, so I completely understood. But it was a bit of a, well, you're not unwell enough to be here, but you're not well enough to go home on your own, so it was a bit, where do we put
in like
you?
the middle ground.
And it was sort of a bit of a forgotten land I was in. I mean, unfortunately, one of my friends, she was in a mental health unit for 1.5 years. So goes to show how long people are in there for. But it was very much, you're not unwell enough, so you can go home. And then I was back in the week after, having the same conversation, which was frustrating. Do you think they prolonged it a little bit?
Thank you for sharing that. So I know you spoke about how amazing your mum has been throughout this whole journey. So she may be the answer to the next question, but what support systems do you think have made the biggest difference to you?
Definitely my mum. I mean, I was in hospital twice due to my mental health, and she was there every day. Every day, even the first time when I was in that room on a little tub chair, and I really didn't want her to be there. She was still there bringing me a McDonald's breakfast in the morning, trying to make me forgive her, bless her, for bringing me there. But yeah, definitely my mum. My partner, since we've been together since I came out of hospital for the last time. And I mean, I haven't been back since. So I think he's definitely a good distraction, a good positive thing to look forward to, and my dog as well. My dog and my cat, definitely.
Is this the rescue?
Yes, from Greece. He's very needy, and that's what I need. I need a dog that I can go, right, well, he needs me at home, so I need to go home and I need to play with him, I need to take him on a walk. Yeah, bless him.
It's surprising how much of a... I'm about to go on a tangent here, because I love talking about animals as well, but it's surprising how much of a positive impact even a creature, like we understand sort of with partners and with parents and things like that, but how those little creatures can make such a positive...
And they can't even talk. I think that's the weirdest thing, is that he can't even talk to me. And he probably... not the biggest impact, but it's definitely a big impact on my life. Whenever I was going to the mental health appointments under adult mental health, they'd always say, what are you going to do when you get home? I'd go, I'll go walk the dog, I'll go give him his dinner, I'll give him a stroke, we'll probably play for hours.
It's having that routine as well, isn't it? Yeah, fantastic. So, do you have any ideas on how mental health services, or even schools as well, because I know you touched upon being bullied within the school setting when you were younger. Is there anything that they can do to better support young people who may be in a similar situation that you were in?
I think in terms of the schools, it would be good to have, even if schools could partner up with your services such as camps, and they could have a worker who goes in 1 day a week, does group work and things like that. I think that would have really helped me in school.
Yeah.
As I was just seeing the school counsellor, and unfortunately she isn't as qualified as people who work for CAMS, as she's more of a generic counsellor rather than a specific diagnosis counsellor. That would be really good if they have the funds or the bodies to do it. Other than that, I think it's, again, just as I've touched on, just having bodies. I can see that the workers who I've worked with, they've all tried their very best, and I can see that it's just, they just need the bodies and the space. Yeah. It's just under so much pressure at the moment, the mental health services.
Of course. No, thank you for sharing your viewpoint on that. So I guess sort of moving more towards sort of the present, were there any particular turning points that helped shift your mental health journey into a more positive direction?
I think moving out of my dad's home, is my mum and dad had split, so I was living with my dad. When I moved out of his home, I love my dad, it was just a bit more independence for me. And when I learnt to drive, and when I passed my test for the second time, that was a really amazing part for me, because I could sort of do what I wanted, when I wanted. There was that freedom. I moved pretty much straight in with my partner, and that was a really good thing for us. I started climbing the ladder in work, and that really helped as well. I was working 2 jobs. I was working as a carer as well, and there's their moments as a carer when you go and see someone, they're the only person you see in the day, where things clock and you think, I appreciate my life so much, because I get to talk to hundreds of people every day. I can do what I want. I can go outside when I want. Some of the people you work with obviously can't, unfortunately, do that.
No. Well, it's been an incredible journey that you're on, and I know, I don't want to steal any of your thunder here, but I know you've got something very exciting coming up. Do you want to talk a bit more about that?
So I have been chosen to be a Miss Continental UK 2025 finalist. So that is very exciting. It's my first ever pageant. I've done modelling in the past, however, pageantry is more building a platform, women supporting other women and really helping other people, and that's something, especially with what I've been through, I really feel like I can create a platform to help others. Yes. So moving away more of the modelling to the pageantry is really going to help me with that.
So people may assume, potentially listeners may assume, that there is stigma and certain challenges being in the pageantry world. Have you ever encountered any of these, or would you be happy to share about this?
So when I got into pageantry, I'm very, very new to it. So this is my first pageant coming up in June 2025. So when I post awareness photos of my mental health, you do get them people on social media saying things like, oh, well, how come you can do that? And then a nasty comment about mental health after. And I think when it comes to that, it's just so important just to block them out.
Yeah.
Because if they're not physically in your life, even if they are, their opinion doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you've got yourself to a point where you are becoming more independent, you're doing new things every year, and you're growing your platform and your awareness in sort of the modelling, the pageantry industry. So it's really important to just remember that you are you, you're not everyone else, and a lot of other pageantry winners and a lot of models that I know also suffer with their mental health, and it's definitely becoming more spoken about in that kind of industry, and they're a lot more open to different stories.
Amazing. Sounds like a really positive journey of sort of destigmatising within that
definitely.
within that field. Fantastic. Well, I think you're doing an absolutely wonderful job. So I know obviously when we've spoken before, you were really keen on sort of building this platform, and what are the main messages that you're hoping to share through this?
I think the main one is it does get better. It might not seem it right now. You might think there's no way out, but it will get better. It takes time. My journey from start to finish lasted about 8-9 years.
Yeah.
And there were highs, lows, roundabouts, everything you can think of in this journey. But it does get better. And there's going to be days when you're in recovery where you might take a step back, but the next day you take 2 steps forward. So it's always important to look forwards instead of backwards. Yes, backwards has happened, but it's up to the future to change that for yourself.
Yeah, and I think also it's kind of, a lot of the time, a lot of the work that we do, it's allowing other people to hear someone's story who's gone through it. So I feel like with yourself, obviously sharing your story so openly today, this could be listened to by other people who might be at the beginning of like where you were a few years ago, or they may be at the same point like, oh, I can really relate to what you're saying. So it makes such a positive difference. But using kind of public platforms, whatever they might be, whether it's pageantry or whether it's sort of social media, how do you think public platforms can help challenge the stigma around mental health?
I think it's really important just to raise awareness of it, and to be really honest with other people. I will never tell anyone who also suffers with mental health that I have completely walked in their shoes 100%, because everyone's journey is different, and I think it's really important to remember that. And I know personally on my platform, I show the highs, the lows, I show everything. Yes, it's amazing I'm doing a pageant, but it hasn't been easy getting to that point. So it's just raising awareness and also helping out the charities. I have a local Mind shop to me, if you can't tell I'm wearing a Mind top. So they even do little like Facebook challenges every month, walk 30 miles, 40 miles, and then we can all help raise awareness and funds for them charities so they then can support more people. Yeah,
and it's to get people talking as well, isn't it? I feel like the more we talk about mental health and other health conditions and things like that, the more the stigma, we hope,
the less scary it gets.
Yes.
People are, I think now more than ever, a lot more accepting of mental health, and I think people really want to know more about it. So especially the more you talk about it, the more people are going to know.
Yeah. Amazing. So what are your goals for the future around sort of mental health awareness?
So it ties in with the pageantry. I really want to create a platform that I'm able to potentially go to people who are in the mental health services, support in different kinds of groups, and just support wherever I can. I am in talks with Mind at the moment about supporting in one of their charity shops. So even something like that, in their charity shops, the money they get from selling items goes straight into their charity fund to help others. So I really just want to help other people feel comfortable with it as well. I always say on every Instagram, Facebook post I put out, I'm always open for a message, whether that's a message at 2 a.m. because you're going through a low point and you just need someone to go, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I completely understand you. I hear you. I think that's the main thing, is I hear you.
Yeah.
One thing that I went through was people saying that I understand. And I never used to like that. And then they then changed that to, I'm listening. I hear you. Because then you just think, okay, they are really hearing me now. So I think it's important to really try and build that sort of rapport with others, that they feel confident and comfortable enough to open up, and so that you can listen, that you can be there.
Amazing. And I love the way you said about actually that didn't work for you, and hearing, oh, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Because active listening is so important
Yes.
to people's stories. So I think that really kind of will resonate with a lot of people listening.
Definitely.
And so for anyone who's interested in reaching out to you and maybe having a bit of a chat, where would they be able to find you?
So my main platform I use is Instagram, and that is FAYEEX and 3 underscores.
Amazing, thank you. So we always end by asking our guests, I'm about to put you on the spot with this one. We always end by asking our guests, what would be the title of your life story?
Oh, that's a good one. I think if it was about my sort of day-to-day life, it would be something along the lines of me being very chaotic. I always say, my number one line is, my life is chaos. I'm always doing 100 things at a time, trying to do everything at once. That would be my day-to-day life. If it was sort of, I'd say, a book about my journey through the mental health, it would be something along the lines of The Girl Who Didn't Give Up. Because although you get loads and loads of knockbacks, I kept going, and I'm here today, and I'm sure I'll be here for a very, very long time.
But do you know what? I think you just gave us the title of the podcast there. Like, we all looked at each other like, yes, amazing. No, do you know what, Faye? Thank you so much for coming in today and sharing your experiences with us. I think it's really going to resonate with a lot of people, and we wish you all the luck with the rest of your journey and with your pageantry as well. Hope next month goes really well for you. But thank you, Faye, and thank you everyone for listening.